The hour is 7 p.m. Having arrived, I'll call to order this regular meeting of Keene City Council. This meeting is televised live on Channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and posted to the website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you'd like to receive an electronic City Council packet to reference during future meetings, please contact the City Clerk's office during regular business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city's email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. I'd ask that the clerk please call the roll.
Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Michael J. Remy. Gladys Johnson. Michael Giacomo.
Here.
Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Philip M. Jones.
Here.
Andrew M. Madison.
Here.
Chris E. Roberts.
Here.
Raleigh C. Omerod.
Here.
Bettina A. Chadbourne. Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald. Kate M. Bosley.
Here.
And Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
All right, thank you. Councilor Ormerod, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So obviously, this is the first time we've met since some pretty breaking news in the world and some real suffering going on with the people of Ukraine. So I just ask that we take a couple of moments here right at the beginning of our meeting and recognize that suffering with a moment of silence. Thank you. So additionally, I think it's important that the people of Keene stand together and in unity with the people who have connections to Ukraine. Some live in this community that have family members that are there. And in a show of solidarity with the people of Ukraine and the people in our community with Ukrainian connections, tomorrow at 6 p.m. from 6 to 6:45, the United Church of Christ and several area businesses have arranged a candlelight vigil. They will be supplying candles. I ask that you dress warmly, and it's going to be a nice thing. We're going to have choirs and members of the clergy from various places throughout the community represented and saying a few words. So I'd ask that the public come out if they're available and make this important statement in our community tomorrow night.
Central Square.
Central Square. Thank you. And with that, I would ask for Councilor Powers to give us a motion on the minutes, and Councilor Bosley for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to accept the minutes from the February 17th, 2022 regular meeting as printed.
And I second that.
And we have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Which brings us to our public hearing. So we have the Capital Improvement Program public hearing. I would recognize the city manager for an introduction.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tonight's public hearing encompasses the fiscal years of 2023 through 29 of our capital improvement program. City staff and the City Council work very hard to produce a capital and operating budget that meet and balance citizen and community needs and City Council fiscal policy. The CIP includes projects with an estimated cost in excess of $35,000 and anticipated useful life of at least 5 years. Expenditure and funding activity anticipated from any capital reserve fund is also presented in the CIP regardless of the amount. The city utilizes strategic plans at the department level to advance projects and initiatives over time. For example, our active and passive recreation plan, watershed master plan, asset management plans for roads, sewer, water, and sidewalk infrastructure. This year, as part of our effort to more closely align budgets with council goals through a strategic governance process, we have attempted to more clearly define the strategic plans and guiding documents which drive recommendations in both the operating budget and the capital plans. Strategic governance brings together strategic thinking with operational governance to create a pragmatic approach to decision-making over long periods of time. Working to accomplish the goals of the city's master plan and city council goals requires many smaller department-level plans. Implementation of those plans occurs incrementally over periods of time, often spanning several years and therefore several budgets. In recent years, the priorities articulated by the public, the City Council, and the Comprehensive Master Plan clearly show an emphasis on city road and bridge systems, flood control, support for public safety services, and a number of other initiatives, for example, library, parks, and facilities. This past year, the message was clearly received that sidewalk infrastructure deserves the same level of planning for improvements. To that end, city staff has created a sidewalk infrastructure asset management plan, which was reviewed by the council and has been incorporated in this document. City staff has been careful to see that all newly identified projects deemed important to the realization of the goals and objectives of the City of Keene are incorporated into this plan. 2 years ago, fiscal policy changes included language about using unanticipated and unrestricted revenues to help us advance budgetary policies related to bond, debt, and capital outlay. We have again this year put forward proposals in the CIP that does just that in an effort to reduce debt and interest expense. This plan also moves us closer to level funding the use of current revenues and capital reserve appropriations each year of the plan. This number directly affects the budget each year. It is the net of debt issuance, capital reserves being used, and grants or other funding sources to fund projects. Therefore, it is the net amount required as part of the operating budget each year. The CIP reflects the continuation of the philosophy of seeking opportunities for strategic investments that leverage other resources and partnerships to advance the goals of the city's master plan, as reflected in the library campus project, bike park, proposed skateboard park project, and potential dog project. Through engagement with residents, employers, nonprofits, social service agencies, and other governmental partners and community groups, we collectively advance the City Council priorities. New for the fiscal 23 to 29 capital plan is the introduction of a project type. As project requests are developed and project worksheets are created, each project is now assigned a project category type of either a project or a program. A project could be a single item purchased or a one-time multi-phase project like the Ashlet River Dam repair or removal project, which is both a design phase and has an implementation and construction phase as well. A program type of project is one that is reoccurring and ongoing. Programs are often tied to asset management plans and may include regular expenditures and appropriations. Road preservation and rehabilitation, sidewalk asset management, and sewer manhole lining are just a few examples of programs in the capital plan. Some of the future initiatives included in the plan are a new Robin Hood Park improvement project, which focuses on the infrastructure of the entire park, which has aged significantly, including the concern that a pool was built right on the banks of a reservoir and has reached its useful life. This East Side Park offers a variety of recreational activities though weather and climate change have taken a toll on the natural features of the park. Keeping in line with the active and passive recreation management plan, which was used for both Wheelock Park and the Pat Russell Park, the community will have the opportunity to share their ideas and concepts. Engaging the community in the concept and design phase in fiscal 23 will strengthen the connection between the neighborhood while also promoting a sustainable and climate-resilient park for today, tomorrow, and the future. The City of Keene was recently selected for a New Hampshire Department of Transportation Alternative Program Grant, a TAP grant, for street and safety improvements in fiscal year 23 along Marlborough Street. This grant will allow the city to expand the original scope of crosswalk improvements painted bike lanes, and formal connection to the Cheshire Rail Trail to include extra safety measures, sidewalk reconstruction, and lighting along with an asphalt overlay on Marlborough Street from Main Street to Eastern Ave. Design and construction of the next multi-phase project is ongoing with the development of the Cheshire Rail Trail system. And in your plan, it is scheduled to begin in fiscal year '23. However, it is dependent upon grant funding. While putting together the plan, we had been notified that the project was recommended for congressional direct spending. However, those funds have not materialized in the most recent round of federal funding, and so the timing of this project is still in flux. The downtown and infrastructure improvement project is in the early stages with preliminary design beginning this year. The project's focus is on replacement and upgrade of the 120-year-old infrastructure on Central Square, Main Street from West Street, Roxbury to Water Street, and side streets including Lamson Street, Church Street, Railroad Street to 93rd and Gilboa Ave. Outside of the scope of the CIP are the long-awaited improvements to West Street, with the planning and design beginning in fiscal year '32. The addition of the West Street Corridor Improvements Project to the New Hampshire Department of Transportation's 10-year plan will provide the city with the opportunity to update the water and sewer infrastructure at the same time. In 2013, the city accepted a Facility Asset Inventory Report, EMG, from the EMG Corporation. The report included nearly all of the city facilities and is used in the long-term capital planning. Many projects have been completed since the report was first issued, such as the library annex and the new boilers at City Hall. And some are also included in this current CIP, such as the Parks and Cemetery Operations Building. But the report is nearly 10 years old, and an update is needed to make adjustments in managing future CIP development and projects. The wastewater treatment plant recently received a draft update on the renewal of the discharge permit from EPA. In order to meet the permit requirements, modifications to the plant will be necessary to reduce the permissible levels of aluminum in the plant's effluent. The nature and cost is not known at this time, and it's anticipated that this project will be included in the fiscal '25 to '31 capital plan. After tonight's public hearing, the CIP goes back to FOP for their final review before coming back to the council for a vote on March 17th. This document is a plan that is then incorporated into the operating budget. The decision to actually appropriate or allocate funds for the first year of this plan is made by the council during the budget process in the May-June timeframe.
Okay. Thank you very much. So as the city manager mentioned, well, this is the public's opportunity to weigh in on this 7-year plan. And what we're going to do is I'll open up the public hearing and just accept general comments if anyone wants to make those. And then I'll go down through the various sections of the plan, and if you want to comment on a specific part of the plan, please wait until I call that section, and you'll be welcomed up to this microphone to provide your testimony. I only ask that you give out your full name and address for the minute taker. And with that, I'll open up the public hearing, and I'll accept just general comments on the capital improvement plan. If anyone has any, please step forward. Okay, doesn't look like it. We'll move through this, the various sections. Does anyone have any comments on the capital reserve funding section of the capital improvement plan? Pages 16 through 25. These are the funds that are put away each year for large capital expenses in various departments. Seeing none, we'll go to the community services part of the plan, pages 30 through 47. This includes several things for the fire department and programs in the Parks and Recreation Department, and one in the police department.
Good evening. My name is Drew Bryanson, 30 Nelson Street, Keene.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am the chair of the Bicycle Pedestrian Pathway Advisory Committee, also known as BPAC. And I'm here tonight to let you know that BPAC is supporting and to encourage city council members to support the following projects listed in the CIP. The Open Space Trails Program on page 41, repaving Appleway in fiscal year 24. The Transportation Heritage Trail Program on page 43. This is BPAC's highest priority project that we are tracking, and we support all phases of this project. And finally, for this section, the Marlborough Street Corridor Trail Connector Project on page 44. 80% of this project is already funded via the New Hampshire DOT TAP grant. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else on this section? Community Services, pages 30 through 47. Seeing none, we'll move along to internal support. This is pages 52 through 63, mostly having to deal with software upgrades and some facilities projects related to roofs. Okay, moving along, brings us to the infrastructure section, pages 69 through 103. These are public works projects and the perimeter fence project at the airport. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the parking fund. These are dedicated funds, revenues collected through parking that are used to maintain the downtown infrastructure. Yes, sir.
Drew Bryanton, 30 Nelson Street. Sorry, moved a little fast there. I would like to comment on the Sidewalk Asset Management Program.
Certainly.
BPAC supports the investment in pedestrian infrastructure, and setting aside funds in the CIP to do so represents a good step forward. Walkability is an important reason why many people choose to live in Keene, including older adults, families with kids, young professionals, and others. Investments in our sidewalks is important for maintaining this highly marketable feature in our city. Investment in pedestrian infrastructure is also critical for meeting the city's stated goal of sourcing all transportation-related energy from renewable resources by 2050. I would ask you, what power source is more sustainable than people power? In order to encourage walking, sidewalks need to be maintained in good working order. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So anyone on the parking fund? All right, seeing none. Solid waste fund. Anyone want to comment on the solid waste fund? Seeing none. The sewer fund. Nobody for the sewer fund. The water fund. Various water projects. Utility work. No. The equipment fund. Vehicle replacement. And equipment replacement. All right, well, that's it. I would, one more time, if anyone would like to make any general comments on the CIP, or members from the public would like to speak, now is your last opportunity really to weigh in. All right, well, that concludes the public hearing. I'll close the public hearing. Are we still accepting written comments until Tuesday?
1 o'clock on Tuesday.
1 o'clock on Tuesday. Thank you very much for your participation. I hope you have a lovely evening. All right, and that brings us back to our regular agenda, and we have confirmation. Number 1.
This evening, we are confirming Lindsay Edmonds to serve on the Energy and Climate Committee with a term to expire December 31, 2023.
I'm looking at Councilor Powers for a motion. Councilor Bosley for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to confirm the nomination.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any discussion on the confirmation? Yes, Councilor Ormerod.
Thank you, Mayor Hansel. I, of course, am speaking in support of this confirmation. I'd also like to highlight that the Energy and Climate Committee was just not able to meet in January, and at least one other time because we didn't have enough people on the committee, including alternates. So I would encourage you all to help us recruit more people, even as alternates, to serve on the Energy and Climate Committee, because it itself has 4 sub-task groups that are doing a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do believe this requires a roll call. So are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Lake,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Counselor
Counselor
Ormerod, yes.
Thank you. And Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
And the nomination is unanimously confirmed, which brings us to communications, number 1.
We have a letter from Eversource Energy. They're requesting permission to remove trees on various scenic roads in the city, which include Concord Road, Concord Hill Road, Moore Farm Road, and Nims Road. And attached to your communication is a list of 12 specific trees that they're looking for permission to remove.
Thank you. This will be referred to the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee, number 2.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I forgot to ask you to schedule a public hearing for this.
Okay.
The statute does require a joint public hearing with the Conservation Commission. It would be scheduled for your first meeting in April.
I will schedule a joint meeting between the City Council and the Conservation Commission and a public hearing for the first City Council meeting in April.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2.
We have a letter from Edward Coppola. He's a bird lover, and he's looking for the city to consider measures to minimize the number of birds and animals, small animals, that are killed by domestic cats. And they would include such measures as licensing cats, taking steps to control cats from wandering onto private landowners' yards, requiring that cat owners provide bells or multicolored scarves to alert wildlife of a presence of a cat, and then advising property owners of their rights regarding cats hunting on their property.
And this will be referred to the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee, which brings us to committee reports, number 1.
We have a Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee report relative to amphibian crossings. On a vote of 5-0, the Municipal Services, Facility, and Infrastructure Committee recommends the City Council authorize the closing of Jordan Road from Concord Road to Peg Shop Road for up to 6 nights in March and April that are coordinated with city staff when conditions are favorable for amphibian migration. City staff may cancel the closure and/or reopen the road at any time if deemed necessary for the convenience and safety of the public. Further, future requests for the closing of Jordan Road for amphibian migration will be administratively handled by the manager.
I'm looking at Councilor Filio for a motion, please. Councilor Williams for the second.
Thank you. Move the intent of the committee report.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Filio, seconded by Councilor Williams. Councilor Filio.
Thank you. Pretty self-explanatory, just in the minutes here. Similar to the closing that we have on North Lincoln Street now, which is now handled administratively. This will be up on Jordan Road. A little bit trickier because there's houses on Jordan Road, but city staff will be working with Harris Center to, properly close it and open it if cars coming in to, go to their homes. And then after this year, that it will be handled administratively. So we voted unanimously, and we hope you will also.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Number 2.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to a Department of Justice grant acceptance on behalf of the Fire Department. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends to the full council the acceptance of the New Hampshire Department of Justice grant awarded to the Keene Fire Department totaling $84,425, and to allow the city manager to do all things necessary for the acceptance and execution of the grant.
And I'm looking at Councilor Powers for motion. Councilor Madison for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report. And I second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Madison. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee meeting last week, the fire department brought forward this information where the New Hampshire Department of Justice has awarded the city $84,425 to assist with the expenses that we have seen through the COVID-19 pandemic season. It will help offset some of the costs of the response of personnel in the fire department. It was applied for, and we received fairly quickly permission to, we received the funding authorization, and now it has to be accepted by the city council so that the manager can work it through the economics of this whole program. So the Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend that you also recommend we accept this and authorize the manager to accept and expend. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Number 3.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to a consultant selection for the downtown infrastructure improvement and reconstruction project. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute a professional services contracts for engineering, technical, and construction services with Stantec Consulting Services, Inc., for the downtown infrastructure improvement and reconstruction project. Further, if the city cannot come to an agreement, the manager is authorized to move to the second highest ranked proposer.
Thank you. I'm looking at Councilor Powers for a motion. Councilor Madison for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
I second.
We have a motion for Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Madison. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. Public Works Director joined us at our meeting last week to explain this particular project. This is the beginning of a large project for the city. It's been mentioned in the CIP this evening. So what was done to begin the process was a request for proposals went out, and various firms looked at it, but we only received 2 candidates. And with those 2 candidates, the committee here in the city of staff reviewed with them Stantec Consulting Services and Weston Sampson. Both are firms that have done work with us, for us, and in the area in the past. But after the review by our committee here of professionals in the city, it was recommended that the Stantec Consulting firm be awarded this contract. And if for some reason they can't come to a conclusion on what the exact cost will be, then the manager will be authorized to go to the next firm, Weston and Sampson. So their proposal will be to work with a committee that the mayor is going to put together to begin to develop a plan of what this might look like in our downtown infrastructure project. As was mentioned earlier, some of what they're going to deal with is about 100 years old. So there'll be some unique approaches to it. And it was the opinion of the staff that reviewed both these firms that this firm of Stantec probably has the best approach to it. And they also have some staff members that have been through this in other cities that have the same different kinds of facilities that need to be looked at, old and ones that have a combination of water, sewer, surface water has to be considered, and it's considered much more than it ever has been in the past. So we voted unanimously to recommend that the city council authorize that this contract move forward, and we hope that the council will. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. City Manager.
Just a few updates for you this evening. A quick update on the solar project at the airport to power the wastewater treatment plant. Construction has started and is going well. The mechanical portions of the project should be complete by April 4th, and a few weeks later, it should be energized. So stay tuned for a ribbon cutting ceremony late April, early May. Council goals. On your desk this evening is a draft council goals document as revised during your workshops that were held in November and January. In November, City Council held the first of 2 workshops to review and update the 2021 City Council goals. Councilors participated in small groups and evaluated each of the 8 2021 goals to analyze what has changed in the past year, evaluate future trends affecting each goal, and to identify where specific and measurable actions can be included. This process is part of the overall strategic governance process, intended to tie updates to existing city reports, assessments, and strategic plans as they might be available to the council goals. A summary of all discussions, comments, and ideas for each of the 8 current goals was then generated and shared with the council. The summary included a series of themes or objectives from each table, which was then incorporated in the goals document to help bring more specificity to the goals and prioritize action steps for upcoming year or years. At the second workshop, held in January, the Council reviewed the summary of the November workshop and made adjustments to the language included as themes or objectives. On your table this evening, you have a clean copy of the revised goals document, and attached to that copy, there's a marked up copy to show the changes that were made at the January workshop. Highlighted in yellow is the new or revised language from your January workshop. The goals document is titled 2022 to 2023 to align with our budget and capital planning process. The language of the 8 goals was modified only slightly. Goal number 1, regarding managing municipal finances, was amended to say both finances and resources. The bulk of the work related to the goals document was around adding more specificity in the way of themes or related objectives. The goals document will be added to the next council meeting agenda for approval. And if anyone has questions between now or then, or feels that something from the workshop is not accurately reflected, please feel free to reach out. And a quick update from our fire department staffing committee. There's a smaller group meeting next Friday to look at the data that's available in our firehouse software. This group hopes to better understand the data that's available so that the committee can determine what data needs to be extracted from the system. This will help the committee better understand what reports can be generated to analyze trends. Trends related to the number of calls, types of calls, location of calls, in and out of town, response times, man hours required, etc. The committee is also investigating whether or not there is a way to track responses from our mutual aid partners. We know we can track which towns provide assistance at a call, but it's unclear if we can track more than just that, how many people came and what equipment came. So tonight on your table, I have also provided you with the notes from the February 11th committee meeting. We don't have draft notes yet from the last meeting, but I will share that with you, those with you as we go along. So we should have those for the next council meeting. Some good news, the city has received the Tree City USA designation for 2021, making it the city's 43rd year as a recognized tree city by the Arbor Day Foundation. The Tree City program was started in 1976 and is one of the Arbor Day Foundation's oldest programs. It was created to encourage a vision of greener, healthier America and hoped that this initiative would inspire a change nationwide. In the state of New Hampshire, there are 17 communities that are recognized as tree cities. The city of Keene is the second longest recognized community, with Durham being the first, being recognized for 44 years in the program. And then some news from our library. The library is working with the community kitchen to encourage people to grow extra produce for donation. This information is being distributed through our seed program and gardening tools program at the library. Some of these foods can be grown with very little space, so it's easy for city residents with only patios to also participate. And then lastly tonight, I wanted to alert the mayor and council the purchase of body-worn cameras and a request to authorize me to apply for and accept and expend any and all related grants will be on the FOP agenda next week in case anyone's interested in attending or watching virtually from home.
Thank you very much. All right, so that we have one item that has requested more time, and more time will be granted, which brings us to resolutions. Number 1.
We have a memorandum from the Public Works Director, actually through from the city engineer through the Public Works Director and the manager, and it is introducing 2 resolutions, and they deal with the Winchester Street bypass project, and it starts with Resolution R 2022-03, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the Winchester Street bypass project, and it also has Resolution R 2022-04, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds from the Water Infrastructure Capital Reserve for the State Bypass Utilities Project.
And these will be referred to the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. Number 2.
Again, starting with the city engineer through the Public Works Director and the manager, we have appropriation of funds for the Thompson Road Repair and Stabilization Project, and it is contained in a resolution R 2022-05, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the Thompson Road Repair and Stabilization Project.
And this will be referred to the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. Number 3.
And finally, a resolution. This deals with a request we've had from several counselors of late, talking about the sort of the scope of initiatives that might be brought to the City Council for their endorsement or position on, and it is contained in a council policy entitled "A Resolution Relating to the Legislative Process," and it is Resolution R 2022-06.
And this will be referred to the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. That concludes our regular agenda. We do have an adjournment for legal advice, but I want to thank everybody for their time and attention tonight. I'll give a 3-minute recess to clear the room. We stand adjourned.